is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are Sun.
Evan Longoria and Logan Morrison are as scorching as the Arizona desert. Over the past 7 days, Evan has heat blasted 5 home runs on his way to the AL Player of the Week honor, while Logan has been the big league's hottest hitter since May 16th, raking at a sizzling .423 clip. Tonight, Longo and Lomo take their talents to Phoenix to open a 3-game set versus the Diamondbacks. Late night with the Rays starts now. Tonight we welcome you to the Valley of the Sun. Phoenix, Arizona, the Rays road trip continues. Tonight they will open a 3-game series, the Rays meeting the Arizona Diamondbacks. Hi again, everyone. Welcome to an evening of Rays baseball with Brian Anderson, Dwayne Stats. Great to have you aboard. Well, if you want to be warm, this is the place. It was 109 degrees today, and if you want to see somebody really hot at the plate, we've got that for you as well. Evan Longoria, the American League Player of the Week.
How about Evan Longoria and Logan Morrison? Is there a hotter 3-4 combo in all of baseball? And Evan Longoria, like you said, the American League Player of the Week, and for good reason. Look at the numbers over the week's worth of games. A .464 average, 5 home runs, all coming in the Minnesota series. He's homered in 4 straight games, driving in those 9 runs. Right now, just not expanding his strike zone at all. We keep talking about it. He is swinging at strikes, not chasing, and balls that are left out over the plate, he's absolutely destroying right now. And guess what? So is this guy right here, Logan Morrison. The turnaround in his season has been sensational. And look what he did in that 4-game series against the Twins. 7 out of 17, 4 home runs. He's homered in 3 straight games, including a multi-home run game yesterday, showing the power too from right field all the way over to left field. All 4 home runs against the Minnesota Twins went to different parts of the field.
This is Late Night with the Rays, and specifically, Todd Kalas will be right back to preview Late Night with Lomo.
On the West Coast, more late night with the Rays from Chase Field in Phoenix. Earlier this season, we heard from Hank Conger and Kevin Kiermaier on our West Coast late night with the Rays. Today, our subject, an entertaining personality, Logan Morrison, who has been as hot as anybody in baseball in the last 3 weeks. Logan Morrison was talking about a variety of topics, including who he cheered for growing up, who he would want with him as his teammate, both to survive and also for entertainment value on a deserted island. But right now, we're going to do one of those one or the other with Logan Morrison and ask him, would you rather fight Mike Tyson or have to sound like him the rest of his life?
How much is the fight? Like, how much do I get paid for the fight?
I guess it's one of the choices. You either have to talk like him or you would have to fight him. Like, talk like him forever.
Yeah, no, I'll just take my knockout. I'll get knocked out and get back up, and maybe he hits me in the right spot and I talk like him anyways.
There you go. More of the thoughts of Logan Morrison as we continue from Phoenix, Arizona. A little interleague baseball tonight with Chris Archer on the mound. We'll have the first pitch in less than 3.5 minutes between the Rays and the Diamondbacks right here on Fox Sports Sun.
Tonight, the Rays move back into interleague play from Chase Field in Phoenix. They'll take on the Arizona Diamondbacks. Rays coming in 25-30, taking 3 out of 4 on their recent stop in Minneapolis. Tonight's starting lineup presented by your Southern Ford dealers. Mikey Montook will lead off for the Rays, followed by Tim Beckham and then Evan Longoria. Logan Morrison hits in the cleanup spot in front of Steven Souza Jr. Desmond Jennings is in center field. Taylor Motter at short hits 7th in front of Kurt Casale. And the pitcher, Chris Archer, bats 9th.
Well, left-hander Robbie Ray taking the mound tonight for the Arizona Diamondbacks. A tremendous arm. You're going to see that with the fastball in the mid-90s, but searching for consistency.
And the first pitch is wide. It's 108 degrees now outside. And this pitch skied to right. Rault is there and makes the catch. Montook retired.
Well, let's go ahead and set that Arizona Diamondback defense for you here tonight. Brought to you by Gold and Diamond Source. In the outfield, left to right, we have Yasmani Tomas, Michael Bourne, and David Peralta. And across the infield, third to first, Jake Lamb, Nick Ahmed, Gene Segura, and Paul Goldschmidt, with Wellington Castillo behind the plate.
Tim Beckham's up in the number 2 spot tonight, playing second base, hitting 180 on the year. The first pitch is a strike call. A couple of home runs for Beckham. Back with the Rays after a stint at Durham. Oh, 2.
Well, the one thing when you talk to Arizona, the people out here about Robbie Ray, love his arm, smooth delivery, good velocity on the fastball, but the command has not been there consistently. Those first 2 pitches to Tim Beckham, about as good as you can get, out and in.
Well, he's young. He's only 24. He made 23 starts for them last year, and they're hoping with each start and the passing of time he becomes better and better. That's Segura out at second, taking that little humpback liner somewhere between a pop-up and a line drive. 2 gone. And here is Evan Longoria, the American League Player of the Week. And he carries into this game a 9-game hitting streak, hitting .457 with 6 homers and 14 runs batted in. He was absolutely on fire against Minnesota. 1 strike the count here.
That pitch right there shows you how hot he was. He comes right out. Robbie Ray, I don't know if these two have ever faced each other. I doubt it. But first pitch changeup. That's a good pitch for him.
1-1. Longoria now on a pace for 41 home runs. And a good look at that ball, too.
I think Robbie Ray is wondering, asking Rob Drake, where were those 2 pitches? I mean, knee high, right on the outside corner, both of them.
Interesting thing about Drake, and we'll get to that in a moment, 2-1. His body of work as an umpire tends to be a pretty strict interpretation of the strike zone, and sometimes smaller than other umpires. And maybe we're starting to see that early already.
Yep.
And there's ball 4 outside, so a 2-out walk. The interesting thing about that, he is the umpire who was behind the plate back in 2012 when Felix Hernandez threw the perfect game against the Rays.
Yeah, he didn't need a strike zone that day.
And he was also behind the plate when, remember Chris Heston with San Francisco? The rookie threw a no-hitter against the Mets. And Drake was behind the plate for that one as well. And yet his reputation is a guy who might be a little reluctant to call strikes. Here's Logan Morrison. And that's ball 1. Our Toyota keys to success. You go back to the middle of May, and he is the hottest hitter going. .423. Castillo and Drake with a little conversation before Morrison steps back into the batter's box.
He said, you do realize that there are balls and strikes. there are both.
Just trying to help his pitcher a little bit. And that's a strike.
Well, you think about the 2 pitches to Evan Longoria, down and away, and look at the setup of Rob Drake. Now, he's in with a left-handed hitter here, but he was in with the right-handed too. And so that pitch that's down and away from Logan Morrison, down and away from Evan Longoria, looks way far away. You know, with Rob Drake, you're almost guessing on those borderline pitches down and away.
Now it's 2-1. Longoria at first with 2 outs. And that takes it to 2-2.
Boy, good slider right there. Robbie Ray, we've seen the fastball, we've seen the changeup, slider, and a curveball. So it was all 4. Tell you the other thing that he does is he stays tall over the rubber. You know, he doesn't collapse that backside. He stays tall, and that allows him to drive that ball downhill and create some angles.
Yeah, and he'll generate some velocity with his fastball as well. Pitch is low, and it's covered by the catcher Castillo. So the count goes to 3-2. Runner at first. Longoria will be off with this 3-2 pitch to Logan Morrison. And it's chopped foul. Rocco Baldelli making the pickup, and we'll see another 3-2 pitch. A 3-game series here against the Diamondbacks. Rays 9-7 all time against Arizona. 4-4 here in their prior visits, and that is strike 3 call. Morrison caught looking. Rays leave a man. No score. Of inning 1. Arizona coming in to hit. Lineup presented by your Southern Ford dealers. Gene Segura leads off, their second baseman. Then Michael Bourne back in the big leagues with Arizona. Paul Goldschmidt hits third. Jake Lamb, the cleanup hitter. Wellington Castillo follows. Then David Peralta. Yasmani Tomas, Nick Ahmed, and Robbie Ray, the pitcher, bats 9th.
Well, for Chris Archer, it's getting off to a quick start. We well documented his first inning struggles, and here we go.
First pitch is in there for a strike. Fastball from Archer to start this one. And there's strike 2.
When was the last time you remember the first 2 pitches of a Chris Archer outing that were spotted where those 2 were?
It's been a long time. That's kind of a throwback. As we mentioned, the first inning has been an issue, and invariably starts with a pitch high and trying to work his way to get it down.
Yeah, it could be a very good sign. Maybe working on some things out in that bullpen to make sure that you come into the game a little sharper.
Segura fouling that slider right there. And that was pretty crisp, that slider. So it's 1-2, 4 pitches in with Bourne on deck and Goldschmidt to follow. 13th start of the year for Archer. Arizona in at 25-34. They're 10 games back. There's a cut and a miss. The chase on the slider.
Well, yeah, Gene Segura will expand the strike zone, and he really did here because this slider is nowhere near the plate. I mean, that thing is breaking halfway into the left-handed hitter's batter's box, but Segura cannot help himself, and Chris Archer picks up an early strikeout.
Well, here is Michael Bourne. And he bunts that one foul right at the plate. Strike one. Bourne was designated for assignment by Atlanta at the beginning of the season. Signed a minor league contract with Toronto and was released shortly after that. There's a foul ball right toward Paul Goldschmidt. Now, you don't want to hurt that guy. If you hurt him, you automatically get released.
I was going to say, you should just start walking back to the dugout now. What a talent Paul Goldschmidt is.
Here's the 0-2 upstairs. It's a ball and 2 strikes. So Bourne released by Toronto after signing that minor league deal and eventually signed on with Arizona and has been up. He's hitting .288, doing a pretty good job at the plate. And they've had some injuries to deal with on this club as well. Now we have a full count. Three-two popped up left side. That's Longoria near the coaching box. 2 gone.
Let's go ahead and set that Rays defense for you here tonight. Brought to you by Gold and Diamond Source. In the outfield, left to right, we've got Matuk, Jennings, and Souza Jr. And across the infield, third to first, Longoria, Motter, Beckham, and Morrison with Kurt Casale behind the plate.
Well, here's Paul Goldschmidt. He's hitting .261 with 10 home runs and 34 runs batted in. Pitch is down. Two and 0.
Yeah.
Rays fans making the trek. It's a 3-ball, no strike count. So Goldschmidt up in the count after Archer had retired the first 2. 3-1.
Well, so much power from Paul Goldschmidt. You can see Chris Archer trying to work him down and away. And it has to be down and away. Up and away, he can take you out to right field. It's got to be down in that area right there. And that's a pitch that has not been called for Robbie Ray or for Chris Archer. That borderline, and it's really not even borderline. It's a good pitch, knee high on the outside corner, and it's not getting called.
Yeah, and if Drake lives up and is true to form, it's going to be tough to get a really great pitch.
You can see how it clips that little edge of the Fox tracks. That's a pitch that a guy out there on the mound wants that so badly, and the hitter's saying, "All right, this is working out well for me."
Well, here's Jake Lamb. And this one gets away from Casale. Down to second base goes Goldschmidt. That's a pass ball charged to Casale.
Yeah, you cannot let that happen. I mean, the walk bad enough, but now a runner in scoring position, not on a ball in the dirt, a fastball that's right there.
So just like that, the Diamondbacks have a runner in scoring position. Off the plate. 2-0 the count. Here's the breakout on Lamb. Over 300 against right-handed pitching. Against lefties, just a little over 100. And Archer falls behind 3-0.
And he's an all-or-nothing type of guy. Just over half of his hits on the season have gone for extra bases. Both him and Goldschmidt with 10 home runs each.
That's ball 4. So back-to-back walks. This one follows the walk and the pass ball. So 2 men on with 2 men out. And a trip to the mound by Curt Casale before they pitch to Wellington Castillo.
Number 7, Wellington Castillo.
Well, Kevin Cash already starting that walk back and forth.
Well, it looks like it's going to be, first 2 pitches of the game are right there. 2 quick outs, a strikeout, a little pop-up. Looks like it's going to be a quick 1-2-3 inning, and all of a sudden back-to-back walks.
There's a strike taken by Castillo. The cut and the miss. Chasing the slider, and it's 0-2.
And already, Chris Archer, Curt Casale should be making a mental note of the chases on that slider. You go back to Segura right there with Castillo. Those balls aren't anywhere near the plate, so you don't even have to be that good with the pitch until they rein you in just a little bit. If they want to chase like that, stay out there.
And especially when you're up in the count, that one way out there. Maybe not chaseable. I was thinking about Kevin Cash and what he's thinking as he's pacing in the dugout. He has a pitcher who all year has had command issues in the first inning. And he has an umpire who's got a tight strike zone.
Yeah.
And as a former catcher, he knows how difficult it is to deal with that combination. Archer ahead in the count, a turn, but nothing doing back there at second by Goldschmidt. A little piece of that foul. Castillo last year hit 19 home runs. So he has some pop. 25 pitches for Archer. And a takedown. We'll take the count to 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Well, having to work hard once again because of the deep count to Michael Bourn, and then of course the walks to Goldschmidt and Lamb.
And there's ball 3. So the count is full, and you can see some of these pitches are right around the zone, and some would be called strikes by some umpires. So full count. This one fouled back. He came with a fastball. 3-2, challenged him. And he fouled it out of play. Now Archer, after getting the first 2 men, has given up a couple of walks. He's battling Castillo, got ahead of him. And now 3-2. This will be the 8th pitch coming in this matchup, and a ground ball picked up by Motter, and he makes the play to retire the side. So Castillo grounds out, and the Rays and Archer get through the first, giving up nothing. Steven Souza Jr. will lead off the second. In Phoenix, Arizona. On to the second inning we go. A scoreless game. Steven Souza Jr. stepping in to face the left-hander Robbie Ray. Souza starts the night at .259 in double figures and home runs with 10. And the first pitch is a strike. You go down the middle of this lineup, Longoria, Morrison, and Souza, all hitting over 300, at 300 or over 300 against left-handed pitching this year. And facing one in Robbie Ray that the Diamondbacks think eventually could be, he already is a valuable member of their rotation, but they think he could be a guy who could eat up some innings one of these days. A lefty with a good arm.
It's just a matter of finding that consistent release point and becoming, you know, consistent with command. That's the issue. And you hear that a lot. You know, a young kid with a great arm. Now, can you put it all together? Because the stuff is there. If the command follows, he will be that guy. If not, well, we'll see.
And toward that end, they've tried to simplify his delivery. And he strikes out Souza Jr. A fastball. And that's the first out here in the Rays' second.
We climbed the ladder with 94 miles an hour. And Robbie Ray, the one thing that you can say about his mechanics, he's very smooth. He's quiet, he's smooth, and then boom, that ball jumps out there in the mid-90s and just no chance to catch up. And yeah, you're right, Dwayne. When you look at his mechanics, I mean, it's a step back, a turn, and a go. Not much going on with the hands.
Desmond Jennings takes a strike after shortening on the bat. Jennings hitting 171. And that'll put him behind in the count 0-2.
But when you're hitting 171 for the season and you're in June, it probably feels like every at-bat starts out like this, 0-2. Immediately in the hole, immediately trying to protect.
He breaks the bat and a bouncer. Lamb got a big hop off the turf. And so Jennings is out of there, third to first. $2 Kids Tickets Tuesdays presented by Morgan Auto Group continues. Coming up Tuesday, June 14th, the Rays take on the Mariners. And all kids 14 and under get $2 tickets with the purchase of a full price paid adult ticket. Call 888-FAN-RAYS or visit raysbaseball.com/specials. Taylor Motter getting a start. There's a broken bat and a fly ball that's going to drop. Base hit, a couple of hops to Bourne, a big turn by Motter. Well, the barrel end of the bat wound up in front of the dugout, the Arizona dugout. Motter has a base hit.
Well, here it is, Robbie Ray. There's the delivery right off the end of the bat. And you don't mind when you end up at first base. Look at that thing. How about this, too? Robbie Ray came in with that reputation of having trouble shutting innings down. I mean, the on-base percentage against him with 2 outs in an inning is up over 400. And the 2 base runners here tonight, both with 2 outs.
Walk into first, a base hit here in the second inning. And it's Curt Casali. Pitch is a little wide. A ball, no strikes. Casali back in the Rays lineup. Toss to first base. Motter back in. Hank Conger had been behind the plate the last 3 starts. So Casali making his first start since Thursday. And that'll take the count to 2-0. You could see Motter bluffing off first, getting the attention of the catcher, Wellington Castillo.
You end up paying so much attention to Taylor Motter, you forget about Curt Casali, and now it's 2-0. And we know that Curt Casali can turn around a straight fastball with velocity.
On the ground, Ahmed, the shortstop, to Segura. The Rays are out. They leave a man in the second inning. No score to an inning and a half. Son. Brought to you by Dodge. Visit Dodge.com today. By Kubota. For more information, go to FloridaKubotaDealers.com. By Bright House Networks. Visit BrightHouse.com. And by your local Toyota dealers. Let's go places. Rays in Arizona opening this 3-game series. Night game tonight, tomorrow, and the day game on Wednesday before the Rays head back home. Well, there's that inviting pool out beyond the fence in right center field. We kept hearing that Todd Kalas might make an appearance out there at some point in this series, and we can only hope.
Only an inning and a half into a 3-game series. We'll see him out there, wet hair and all.
There's a strike to Peralta. The count is 1-1. Peralta just back off the disabled list. It's 2-1. And he's a potent left-handed bat in this lineup for the Diamondbacks. He had a wrist injury that put him on the shelf.
Now, this Diamondback team can score some runs, especially when they're all healthy.
High down the left side, long run by Matuk, but it's going to be out of play to run the count full.
And they averaged just under 4.5 runs a season ago per game. That was second in the National League. They're really on the same pace this year, except you know, they're down 5th. Tied for 5th.
Yeah, they're averaging just a little over 4.4 runs a game now. And there is strike 3 call, a dandy pitch to get Peralta. Second strikeout for Archer.
Not a put away slider. This is a strike slider, and it just locks Peralta up. Trying to keep that thing in the zone, and Peralta obviously looking for something else.
Yasmani Tomas up here. He's hitting .265. No ball, no strikes. There's the patented big cut. He tries to hit the ball a long way.
When you get that big with a swing, you open up so many holes. I mean, there's a big cut, there's a strong swing, and then there's that. That's how you just open yourself up to.
Well, you see the 2 pitches where they were.
Yeah, just being
just airing it out.
No, I know, and when you're that reckless with the swing, you just put yourself at such a disadvantage.
They've got a lot tied up in him. $68 million he came in from Cuba. And he takes strike 3.
You take that. That's not an at-bat that Tomas will want to remember. Swing at the ball in the dirt, the one that's up near your face, and then with 2 strikes, you take that one right there.
So 2 up, 2 down. A couple of strikeouts here to begin the 2nd inning. Nick Ahmed. There's a bunt, third base side. Glove by Longoria in the throw. There's a Gold Glove down there, and he made that play flawlessly. 1-2-3, go the Diamondbacks. No score. the pool and from the pool, and late night with the Rays tonight from Chase Field in Phoenix.
And Todd is jumping his scooter over the pool.
Chris Archer looking for his first big league hit.
And he's doing it side saddle. It's really cute.
It's more difficult. The degree of difficulty is much greater that way. Get more points for that. 0-2 on Archer. Well, here in interleague play in the National League ballpark, pitchers have to hit. 1 and 2.
Like Chris Archer said coming into this start that he was not necessarily looking forward to hitting. A lot of American League pitchers really cherish these moments. Chris was like, I'd rather pitch.
It's 2 and 2 now. The Rays pitchers back at the Trop did take batting practice and among other things worked on bunting in case they're called upon to try to move a runner. And Archer looks at that one for strike 3. And says, that's fine. Just I want that same pitch when I'm on the mound.
Take that all day long. And you're right. This is where, you know, you can help yourself out as a pitcher. You're in the lineup. You're counted upon to do something. And bunting is a big, you know, it's a big part. You move runners that way. Get a chance to go out there, pitch well, and be a part of the offense too. It helps you win a game.
Mikey Matuk up here in the leadoff spot tonight for the Rays. He's now started, including this one, 7 consecutive games. It's 1 and 1. Once he was recalled, he got off to a 1 for 21 start. Things have been a little better for him lately. Hard hit, ground ball, base hit into left. There you go. Mikey Matuk with a base hit, a 1-out single.
I like the bat speed there. I like the bat speed a lot. It was a swing that had conviction to it. We've not seen that. You know, Mikey Matuk, as he's trying to work himself back into a nice little groove. Sometimes the swings have not been that aggressive, short, and quick. That one was.
He has not been. If you kind of followed his career through the minor leagues, AAA, and then with the Rays, he's not an all or nothing kind of guy, but he does, like a lot of hitters, get into hot streaks and then he'll struggle for a little while. And when he gets hot, as we saw at the end of the season last year, I mean, he finished strong.
He was the best hitter for the Rays in the month of September, at least the last few weeks.
Yep.
With the long ball, he's got power. He can hit the ball out of the park.
Kevin Cash was saying before the game, somebody's got to get hot other than these guys in the middle. And he said it'd be nice if Matuk or Jennings could catch fire a little bit. And Matuk is showing some signs, and that's a good at bat right there. Hit the ball hard.
Well, you think about what Kevin Cash is talking about and why Kevin Kiermaier out. Brandon Guyer just went to the disabled list. So they need some of their other outfielders to step up and help out a little bit. A lot of heavy lifting done. Well, you think about the game yesterday. It was single-handedly or double-handedly won by Longoria and Logan Morrison. Every time that lineup rolled back around and you saw the 3-4 hitters coming up, you knew, you really did. You had a feeling that the Rays were going to be able to put runs on the board, and they did just about every time. That's not sustainable, though, and you need some help throughout that rest of that lineup.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Cash is talking about, trying to get some help. You know, and especially you're an American League team and you come in the National League, suddenly you're giving away one of those spots in the lineup that you anticipate. For an example, Steve Pearce has that elbow. You'd love to have him in the lineup against a lefty because he's hitting .390 against left-handed pitching with 5 home runs. So it's more of a challenge offensively. You get into these interleague games in the National League park, and not to be able to have Pearce in this lineup, and difficult for him to play a position because of the elbow, but the feeling is he could swing the bat.
No doubt about it. And you're right. You'd love to have him out there, but with the little bit of progress they've been making with that elbow, you throw him out in the field, a couple of throws, and you're right back to square one.
Yep. Well, that is strike 3 to Beckham. He tried to check on that pitch as it got away from Castillo, but no attempt to move up by Mikey Mahtook at first.
Well, down and in and just too far. You get the hand started. You know, the one thing that Robbie Ray does is he makes hitters aware, especially these right-handed hitters, of the fastball away, but also the fastball in. And then that helps them out with the slider. You make a hitter aware of the fastball in, you throw a slider off the same, in the same area, and they think I got to get my hand started quick because that's 94 inside, and then all of a sudden it's breaking.
Longoria swings and sends one deep right center. That ball is well hit and right in front of the wall. Michael Bourn makes the catch. Michael Bourn covered a lot of territory as he has done throughout his career. And in a lot of ballparks, that one might be out. But Bourn caught it right out there by the pool.
Of the third inning, late night with Lomo tonight. We asked him a bunch of questions, including, as Chris Archer will deliver the first pitch of this inning, Logan Morrison is our subject for late night with Lomo. We asked him a variety of topics, some if-then topics, if one or the other, and we would get some interesting response. Logan Morrison has one of the better personalities in the clubhouse, and so we're going to hear from him all night. And this one is, would you rather sit all day or stand all day?
That's easy. Sit all day and not stand. That's not even a question.
Never stand all day. You're good.
No, that sounds miserable. That hurt my back.
Deep to right field, and that ball is gone. Home run for the pitcher, Robbie Ray, and the Diamondbacks take a 1-0 lead, guys.
First home run for Robbie Ray. He had gone 2 for 18 at the plate, and he helped his own cause, and boy, did he get into that one.
Yeah, it did not look like a pitcher. He got into that. I mean, that was a no-doubter off the bat of the pitcher, Robbie Ray. Wow.
That was a tee shot.
It was.
Here it is. So Robbie Ray hits one out. And it's 1-0 Arizona. Up and in, and Segura goes down to take the count to 1-1. It's fouled out of play.
It just, you know what it does? That adds pressure to Robbie Ray. You cannot go out as a pitcher, hit a home run, and not win the game pitching. So you just up the amount of pressure on that young man.
It's close to Segura, and it's 2-2. 13th home run given up by Chris Archer. It's only the third to a left-handed hitter, and that one will move Segura to first base.
And guess what? That is not easy to do. Gene Segura, that's only his 7th walk of the season out of the leadoff spot. He likes to swing the bat, so you've really got to work to walk him.
Well, here's Michael Bourn. Bourn made that great catch on the long drive hit by Longoria to end the top half of this inning. And he comes out swinging, fouling that one away. Strike one. Oh, 2. Well, just an inning ago, we were talking about pitchers helping themselves, and Archer didn't think much of the idea that he had to hit, and you don't get the hit often. So just when you happen to be pitching in a National League ballpark, do you? But you can see Ray certainly helping his own cause with one swing of the bat.
You know, yeah, you're right, because you really don't want to take that attitude for the simple fact that, you know, you go through the lineup, you want to pitch deep into a ball game, and you go through the lineup a couple of times, you're just going to give away an inning's worth of outs, because that's what ended up happening. You go 0 for 3, strike out a couple of times, you know, don't really care about that part of the game. You know, you're in there, and like you said, it gets really pointed out when their pitcher goes yard.
Well, a cut and a miss, and Bourn is out on strikes. Archer needed that one with a runner at first. Now 1 out, and Paul Goldschmidt is coming up.
Yeah, just need to get back on track, because Robbie Ray, the home run, and then you go right to a walk, another walk.
You know, there's part of the mental discipline too. You're a pitcher, you give up a home run to the opposing pitcher, you got to get by that immediately, and hard to push that away.
Well, and it apparent that he didn't get over that immediately, because you walk Segura, who doesn't walk. So, I mean, so that it goes to show you. But a nice comeback there on Michael Bourn, punching him out with the slider and getting ahead of Goldschmidt.
Shot toward the gap into right center field. Extra bases. Segura being waved to the plate. The throw is not in time. Boy, that made it close. A double by Goldschmidt, and it's 2-0.
The throw, the relay throw from Tim Beckham floated. It floated in high, and Casale had to wait on it and then catch it high and try to get the tag down, and he's not able to do it. A good job by Desmond Jennings in getting it in quickly. But see how this throw just kind of floats, stays up. Can't get to him.
Goldschmidt's 9th double, picking up his 35th run batted in. It's a 2-run inning for Arizona, with Goldschmidt at second, 1 out, and Jake Lamb is the hitter. There's a strike. Lamb walked on 4 pitches his first time. One and one. Here's a situation. A couple of runs in, a man in scoring position. You want to try to stop the bleeding right now.
Well, and the other thing that's concerning about this outing so far is Kevin Cash was banking on a deep outing here tonight by Chris Archer because of the bullpen situation. And we're talking he's closing in on 60 pitches already at 2 1/3.
Yeah, Cash said if he needed them, everybody, including Colomé, might be available. But they had to be very short stints.
Yes, and that's where the issues come in. And so if you get a short outing tonight and have to use a bunch of guys, well, now what tomorrow? Now you need a complete game. I mean, the guys are getting burned up.
Well, the Rays have found themselves in that situation earlier this year. And that's why when you think about where the Rays are going to go, to get them to where they want to go, they're going to have to get extended quality innings out of their starting pitching so that you can keep the bullpen ducks in a row.
When you start to burn that bullpen out, you know, in July and August, and now you don't have a chance. And that's been the issue for the Rays starters. Not that they're throwing the ball so poorly, but inefficiently. You know, they're 18, 20 pitches an inning at times.
Well, there's a big strikeout. Lamb out number 2.
You think about this outing here tonight for Chris, already gonna be averaging more than 20 pitches an inning. You know, Jake Odorizzi threw the ball well the other day, 6 innings, 2 runs, but it took him 120 pitches.
And Chris started this with a 29-pitch first inning, scoreless, but after getting the first 2 men, gave up 2 walks. There's the catcher, Castillo, and he takes a strike. Over 20 pitches in this inning for Archer. Two outs, Goldschmidt at second. And Archer turns to take a look back there. Oh, 2. So he's in a good spot here to try to end this inning. Home run by the pitcher Ray started the inning. Segura followed with a walk. He's been doubled home by Goldschmidt. The 0-2. Strike 3 called. Castillo looks at a mid-90s fastball. 2-0 Arizona.
BA will be looking at this about 100 times tonight when he gets back.
Don't hang it.
You knew it was coming.
You know, the one thing I wanted to do in my career was homer from both sides of the plate because it was switch hit.
Yep.
Which was really moronic because the little time you do get to work on hitting, and I'm going to split it up between both sides. But regardless, the furthest balls that I've ever hit were right-handed and nothing to show for them. And then I hit a wall scraper right there and get the home run lefty.
Well, you're just trying to make the percentages work in your favor. And, you know, they say that you really have to almost have two personalities if you're going to switch hit. There's the left-handed hitter and a right-handed hitter, and they're a little different. Here's Morrison chopping one down to first, the 0-1 pitch, and Goldschmidt takes care of it. So, I mean, Robbie Ray has nothing on you. He has a home run, you have a home run, but you had 10 runs batted in.
I should have had way more than that. That's pathetic.
He's just not quite there.
Yeah, that's like a couple a year. That's nothing to be proud of. No, I'll tell you what's more ridiculous than all of that was now, okay, so I switch hit. And I wanted the helmet. I didn't like the double ear flaps, so I went away from that. Had a helmet for each side because then I'd get to pinch run, and you would always use the right-handed hitting helmet when you pinch ran because as you were running to the bases, the ear flap would face home plate because there was a ball hit at you. But I used two different bats. Hitting left-handed, I like a skinnier handle.
See,
hitting
you're
right-handed, I wanted a thicker handle. So two different model
left
bats.
or right. Yeah, of course you would.
But that's, I mean, a little too much. You're a pitcher. Had a hard enough time getting guys out, and all of a sudden you're going to start winning silver sluggers.
You know, you've made this point before about pitchers and how important it is for them to hit because they understand trying to hit the challenge that this hitter has.
Look at that. I was awful both ways.
Yeah, but you were consistent from both sides of the plate. So there you go.
You know what
Here's a ground ball by Souza Jr., and he's hustling down that line. But Ahmed gets a throw over there, 2 gone.
Yeah, the one thing that was nice about playing in the National League, there was a couple of things. First of all, personally, you know, I'd pitch a game, and then for the next 4 days, I was on alert to either pinch run or pinch bunt.
Yep.
I get to call to, you know, pinch, you know, going in pinch bunt, you know, 8th inning of a ball game, or the catcher gets on base at a tie ball game late, go pinch run for him. So it made it exciting every single day. Got a chance to maybe play. Number 2, when you stand in the batter's box and you see that fastball like that right there, and it gets called a strike, and you go, wait a minute, that ball is they're calling at me because I'm a pitcher.
Well.
And you go look at it, you go, whoa, that's a tough pitch to handle.
That's exactly where I was going with that point. I think it's so valuable for pitchers in the minor leagues to have that experience because you can learn a lot about pitching by standing in the batter's box.
There's no doubt about it. There is no doubt about it when you realize how difficult it is. And even so, with those kind of numbers that I was rolling out there, I knew I was going to see a lot of fastballs. But anytime you did get pitched, you know, fastball, then a slider, maybe a split, and you're just like, whoa, how do guys hit 300 in this league? I mean, it's just, you know.
That pitch down and away, that's a strike, but it seems it's miles away.
You're like, what can I do with that besides hit a 14 hopper to the second baseman?
That's a strike to Jennings. So the count is 2-2.
That's been the difference maker tonight for Robbie Ray. The ability, glove side fastball, and he's been able to get it in there and get strikes with it. That opens up the whole plate.
Ground ball headed up the middle. Base hit into center. And Jennings is aboard with 2 outs. So now this is the 4th inning. And in 3 of those 4 innings, the Rays have put a man on with 2 gone against Ray.
And that has been his issue. They said coming in, the on-base percentage with 2 outs in an inning was up over 400. And it just continues to climb. Has trouble shutting down innings, and maybe the Rays can get something going here.
Taylor Motter, and the pitch is a strike. You know, somebody's making these numbers available to me, and they're outstanding. Your average with men in scoring position?
Oh, boy.
How did you drive in 10 runs?
Was it
Oh, there's a base hit. Motter's aboard, and Jennings goes to second.
What was it? 036?
033.
033.
Yeah.
I'll tell you how you drive in 10 runs. You just play for like 10 years. And every once in a while, you pop one in, and it falls in. And the run gets driven in.
Well, let's see. You hit a home run.
Yep. That was one solo shot.
Yeah. And then you had 2 other hits with men in scoring position.
Well, how's that?
So
some sac flies? Maybe some sac flies.
Yeah, a little contact. Make ground ball, get a guy home.
Yeah, move the ball.
Yeah,
Dwayne.
see, there's where the skill comes in.
My goodness.
Here's Kurt Casale, a couple men on now for the Rays. 2 men on, 2 men out. Line drive, base hit into left. Jennings going to be waved around. Tomas makes the throw to the plate, cut off, and the Rays get a run. A 2-out rally here. The Rays on the board and cut the deficit in half. Kurt Casale picked his 16th run batted in.
It just continues to rear its ugly head with Robbie Ray. 3 straight 2-out hits, and the Rays do get something going. They do get on the board, cut the lead in half, and looking for more.
So now the Rays have men at first and second with 2 gone. They're on the board, and Chris Archer is going to be the hitter.
This is where you can help yourself.
Yep. He's got a chance to come up with a little payback maybe here to Robbie Ray. Archer looks at the fastball for a strike.
Boy, if you're Chris Archer, sell out for the fastball and put a swing on it. Who knows what will happen?
One and one. It's just off the plate, says Rob Drake. One and two. Well, that pitch up looks big even to a pitcher.
Yeah. How about that? Chris Archer finally cuts one loose. And you're right, it's mid-90s and up near the letters.
And he takes strike 3. So Archer's out of there, leaves 2. The Rays score 1, trail 2-1.
He was on a deserted island, and he had the entire clubhouse to choose from. Who, for entertainment purposes, would he want with him?
I'm picking Hank Conger because he is funny and entertains me, and I laugh when he talks. That's the only thing I got for you. I don't.
He's got a little off-the-wall humor, like for people who don't know.
Hank Conger is very off the wall, very. Some may say X-rated at times, but he's very funny.
Hank Conger makes Logan Morrison laugh. There is Conger, who played a couple of games in that series in Minneapolis. After the day game, guys, Saturday, he went straight to the Dave Chappelle show, so he was enjoying a little comedy right after that rain delay game on Saturday. Back to you.
And we go into the bottom of the fourth. David Peralta leads off, just off the disabled list.
I'm going to say he was doing research, picking up some material.
Sure.
Maybe. Right?
Yeah, do a little prep.
And always have new stuff.
Or make people think it's new. This one is fouled out of play. Peralta's story, an interesting story. Here's a guy who was at one time in the Cardinals organization. Then he wound up playing, he was released. He wound up playing independent baseball. He played in the North American Baseball League in the Rio Grande Valley. Played at Wichita. And it was a converted pitcher. And you know how hard it is to convert a pitcher, but he's made a great conversion swinging that bat and playing the outfield.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a difficult thing to do. You know, you think back on Rick Ankiel, you know, when he just lost it as a pitcher and then just worked his way back and became an outfielder. I mean, how do you do that? Pretty impressive.
He hit .312 last year with 17 home runs. Ground ball, that's going to go through to the right of Morrison and into right. An aggressive turn right there. Ball loose on the throw back in. Motter backed it up, and then he had trouble finding the handle on it. Leadoff base hit.
That's how you put pressure on a defense. And you're right, just that simple turn and throws all over the place.
Hey, this is no Jedi mind trick. Star Wars night back Saturday, June 11th, when the Astros come to town. Don't miss your chance to grab an Archer Stormtrooper bobblehead presented by Tech Data while supplies last. Call 888-FAN-RAYS or visit RaysBaseball.com. Rays up. Runner at first. Here's Tomas. And the pitch is down. Yes, Manny Tomas called out on strikes after chasing a couple of pitches to get down 1-2 in the count back in the second inning. That's a strike call. Two runs for the Diamondbacks. 3 hits. One of those runs, a home run by the pitcher, Robbie Ray. Chop foul up the right side. And it's 1-2. And a cut and a miss. Tomas out on strikes for the second time. 7 strikeouts for Archer.
All right, here's a breaking ball that just hangs there for Tomas and gets a little bit too big and long with the swing. And Chris was able to get away with one right there and picking up that strikeout, but you will take it. Take him any way you can get him.
Nick Ahmed tried to bunt his way on the first time. Swings through a fastball, strike one. Ahmed, 25-year-old infielder. Wound up hitting .226 last year, and most of that came against lefties. He had almost 300 against lefties, not quite, and barely over 200 against right-handed pitching.
Well, even the two swings in this at bat on the Archer fastball, you could see he just is overmatched by the good velocity. The swing gets long, it slows down. Looks like Chris, you know, if I'm Chris Archer right here, I'm thinking about something. I mean, he may go with the slider because it's been a good pitch for him, but you could climb the ladder here and blow it right by him.
And a cut and a miss. Back-to-back strikeouts.
Or you could throw a slider right in the zone and pick up another strikeout. Either way, made short work of Ahmed, and now he's got Robbie Ray.
With the man at first. And two gone, it's Robbie Ray, the pitcher. And he homered his first time, lifted that 1-1 pitch out of here. One and one. Two balls and a strike. And there's a base hit up the middle. Peralta hustles his way into third. And how about Robbie Ray's 2 for 2?
What'd you say, 2 for 18 on the season?
Yep, coming in.
Home run, and then how about right back up the middle, short little stroke. Pulled the hands in, got the barrel to the baseball, found a hole in the middle of the field. How about that?
Well, he has 50% of the Diamondback hits tonight. They have 4, he has 2. And here's the top of the order, Gene Segura. Outside 1-0. A ball and a strike. Peralta's at third, Ray's at first. And a cut and a miss. Segura trying to catch up to the fastball at 95. A high fastball with some good velocity.
You slow him down with the breaking stuff, and Chris Archer throws a hard slider. But 85, 86, 87, a whole lot different than 95. Get him used to that speed and then pump that fastball. Look how low his hands are, susceptible to that pitch. You know, when a guy's hands are down that low, and you throw a fastball above the hands on his load, for his hands to come back and get high enough to get to that pitch with any kind of velocity is almost impossible.
Diamondbacks have had men in scoring position in 3 of the first 4 innings. They scored twice in the 3rd. 1-2 the count on Segura here in the 4th. And he fouls the fastball back. Archer just challenged him out over the plate with that one at 96.
Well, and he's probably thinking the same thing that we are. Get it up above the hands, and he's not going to get to it if I can get it to 96. You know, he's got to do everything in his power just to foul that pitch off. Forget about driving it. And you could go up a little higher than that. You've got the count to play with.
And he got him, threw it by him. He did. He went a little higher in the zone. And with mid-90s velocity, ends the 4th. 2-1 Arizona. On to the 5th inning. Time to turn back the clock with the Rays when they face the San Francisco Giants Saturday, June 18th. A blast from the past with throwback jerseys and rolled back concession pricing. And don't miss the Fray, famous for How to Save a Life and Found Me, in a post-game concert called 888 Fan Rays, or visit RaysBaseball.com now. Rays up. Top of the order up here for the Rays in the 5th. Mikey Montauk, who singled in the 3rd, giving him 1 for 2. First pitch is a strike. Beckham next, and then Longoria against Robbie Ray. Maybe they can tire Ray out by making him run the bases and get to him down the middle part of this game.
That's not a bad idea. Remember when pitchers, they would get on base and they would call for the jacket?
Yeah.
What was that? What was that? You gonna run the bases in a coat? It's just awful.
If you're all heated up, you know, your shoulder could catch a cold running around the bases. If they ran as fast as you did, you know, not everybody could pinch run. Hey, there's a shot into right center field. On the run is Peralta. It's over his head. Extra bases. Montauk around second. Oh, look out. He decided to stop and go back to second. And that throw from the relay man headed toward 3rd almost got Montauk in another way. He had to duck that throw.
That's how you used to play baseball growing up. You throw a ball at a guy that was off the bag, and if it hit him, he was out.
Yeah.
Didn't have enough fielders to go around. But, boy, he got into that one right there. And David Peralta, a game effort to get there. Not able to make the play. Michael Bourne with the throw. Turn and fire, and look out. Watch your lips.
Well, Montauk now 2 for 3. That's got to make Kevin Cash happy as he's looking for some additional offense. And now Beckham gets into one. Long one way back to left. Gone. Tim Beckham on the first pitch tees off a 2-run blast. His 3rd home run of the year. And now the Rays lead 3-2. Well, maybe they are tiring him out.
Well, you know, here's the thing. Robbie Ray has struggled 2nd time through the lineup, has really struggled 3rd time through the lineup. The reason being, what have we seen from Robbie Ray tonight? We've seen really nothing outside of the fastball. You know, the slider we haven't seen a lot of. We haven't seen the curveball maybe at all. A couple of changeups. Well, you just cannot keep rolling through a lineup with the same stuff. You've got to be able to mix your pitches, mix your locations, and he's only been able to do that with 1 pitch. Now you go to the curveball. It's a little late now.
Well, there's the breakout. First time through 2nd and 3rd. It gets much higher.
Yeah, well, that's because he doesn't have the mix of pitches to be able to go through 3 times. He stays pretty much one-dimensional, and it'll bite you. The 3rd time a guy sees you, you just keep pumping fastballs to him, and he hasn't seen really anything else, or is not respecting anything else. Get me in some trouble.
Well, they estimate that 402 feet off the bat of Tim Beckham. Boy, that was a blast.
High, majestic.
And now Longoria is ahead in the count, 3-0. Taking an off-speed pitch there. And ball 4. So the first 3 men have reached base here in the 5th inning. And Logan Morrison will be the hitter. And time called. Home run by Tim Beckham with Mikey Montauk aboard. And now Mike Butcher, the pitching coach, goes out to spend some time with his pitcher Robbie Ray.
These meetings are not fun. They are not fun. You've just given up the lead and then a walk. And a lot of times Mike Butcher will leave and he may give you some specific instructions, but by the time the game's over, they're like, well, what did Mike say to you when he came to the mound? You have no idea. You have no idea. Your mind is just swimming right now.
Rob Drake out there to break up that extended, wouldn't exactly call it a conversation, but the extended stay out there by Mike Butcher with Robbie Ray. And now set to resume. Here's Logan Morrison. It's low. A ball, no strikes. Well, the Rays using the long ball to take the lead. That's a strike to Morrison, 1-1. The Rays came into this game with 83 home runs. That's the 84th. They hit 11 home runs in that 4-game series against the Twins. That's a club record for a series of any length. Now 1-2 to Morrison. So the Rays now with 84 home runs. Longoria aboard on the walk. It's chop foul. Ray working here in the 5th inning. He went 4 2/3 his last outing. Actually 5 against Houston, 4 2/3 the time before against San Diego. It's 2-2, and both of those turned out to be losses. He dropped the game to San Diego 10-3, and the Diamondbacks lost to Houston, although that was a 5-4 final, and he did not figure in the decision. Pitch up and out of the mitt of Castillo, but no opportunity to advance, and the count will go to 3-2. So a full count on Logan Morrison. Nothing really going on in the bullpen for the Diamondbacks right now. And Morrison fouls this one back, earning another pitch.
Well, you got a pitcher out there that's starting to wobble here a little bit. No help on the immediate horizon, and so this is an opportunity for the Rays to pounce, try to build this lead.
Well, Morrison has worked this at bat out to what will be at least an 8-pitch at bat, and he draws the walk. Back-to-back walks following a double and a home run. Tonight's Cold Hard Facts brought to you by Clean Chris Coors Light, and we'll get an idea what they've dealt with Diamondback pitching. The starter ERA is 5.07 and the bullpen's 4.21. And not a lot of support behind him. 39 errors.
No, defensively, not getting the job done, and that's where it starts. Pitching and defense. We talked about their offense. They're scoring enough runs, but 9 games under 500, and mainly due to the struggles of the pitching staff.
Delgado, the right-hander, is up now in the bullpen. He just started to throw. How about that? So he is widening the zone. It's 1-1. Steven Souza Jr. has some of the greatest expressions in an understated way. If you watch him and get some great close-ups.
He can't help himself.
No,
it's not like it's on purpose.
He's
It's
just
that's
expressive.
who he is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now it's 1-2. Nobody out in the inning. Souza looking for his first hit. Nothing of 2 and down 1-2. And he's out on strikes with a fastball. Well, Ray needed that. He needed that kind of out. A big cut from Steven Souza Jr. One away.
Well, away. Then he comes middle in right there and just able to power the fastball by him. He's been able to reach back. We've seen it a couple of times to go 94, 95. Creates a good angle with that pitch. He just needs some help from the secondary pitches.
Well, here's Desmond Jennings. He had a hit in the 4th inning. He's 1 for 2. Takes a strike on the outside edge. Upstairs, 1-1. It's Taylor Motter playing shortstop tonight, hitting 7th in the lineup. Desmond behind 1-2. Pitch count in the mid-80s for Ray. Little tamper foul, and that's been an issue with him as well this year over last year. His pitch count last year is in the more than 17.5 pitches per inning, and this year it's been over 19.
Yeah. Well, you know, he's averaging almost 4.5 walks per 9 innings, and that's going to lead to obviously an elevated pitch count. Same thing that we're seeing here tonight as this game moves on. He gets into more and more trouble.
That one headed toward the gap in right center. Peralta will not catch this one, and that will hop over the wall. So Longoria will score. That'll be a double for Jennings, and the Rays make it a 4-2 game. Evan Longoria scores from second. Morrison, who is headed around third, has to stop there on the ground rule double.
We just continue to see the same types of pitches in the same areas. And this one, enough juice to get it away from Peralta, and the Rays extend.
So that's going to be it for Robbie Ray, 4-2 Tampa Bay. Sun brought to you by Dodge. Visit Dodge.com or your local dealer today. By Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by your Southern Chevy dealers. In Arizona tonight, the Rays lead 4-2. They've scored 3 so far in the 5th inning. That's the end of the evening for Ray. 4 1/3. He departs, allowing the 4 runs and responsible for 2 men on. Randall Delgado, the new pitcher. Taylor Motter to face him, and that first pitch, a breaking ball up, and he fouls it back. Strike 1.
Well, Delgado on for the 27th time. He's worked in 30 2/3 innings, 29 strikeouts, but again, the walk total elevated. A lot of pitches, 14 walks.
Into the dirt, blocked by the catcher, Wellington Castillo. Boy, what a great opportunity this is for the Rays. 2 men in scoring position, 1 out. Motter singled the first time in the 2nd inning. Had a base hit in the 4th. Upstairs. It's 2-1. Delgado, 25 years old. High pop foul. That will be out of play. It's 2-2. Delgado inheriting 2 men in scoring position. 2-2 to Motter. He fouls one out of play. A fastball up and away. Again, a foul ball straight back. And a souvenir. Delgado out of Panama. 2-2 the count. Fly ball, right field. Peralta setting up to make the catch. Morrison tags, headed to the plate, and he's going to score. Well, a nice job there. Motter gets the run home on a fly ball. Peralta did what he could, catching that, trying to make a play of it. So the Rays add a run. It's now 5-2. Sixth run batted in for Motter, and Jennings winds up in third.
Now let's move in the baseball. You know, fouling some pitches off, not taking the strikeout, just continue to battle, get a ball in the air, get it deep enough, you add to the run total.
And this really has been a dimension to the offensive game that we haven't seen a lot of. Well, they're going to try to walk Casali intentionally, but that first pitch was not exactly where Castillo was expecting it. They have Archer, the pitcher, due next, so they'll walk Curt Casali. Yeah, this has been encouraging, and I'm sure Kevin Cash, he's gotten a couple of hits out of Montook. He's got a couple of hits out of Jennings tonight. Beckham hit that long home run. Jennings, Motter, and Casali have the other runs batted in. Rays will have men at first and third, and they will have sent 9 men to the plate with the pitcher Archer headed up there now. 0 for 2, a couple strikeouts for Archer. Archer takes the pitch down. He swings and sends a fly ball into short right. Peralta's there and makes the catch. He made contact. That might put the hitting bug in him right now. Rays a good inning here in the 5th. Home run by Tim Beckham. Got the first 2 runs home. Before it was over, Longoria and Morrison scored the other 2. 5-2 Rays. 2-run home run in the top of the 5th, giving the Rays the lead. They went on to add a couple more runs. Beckham hit a 400-foot-plus home run to left. Our greater coverage of baseball brought to you by T-Mobile. And how about this? Jake Arrieta, first loss since July of 2015, but there's some interesting aspects to this one. And you've just circled it.
Listen, he had 5 innings. He struck out 12. He allowed 10 balls to be put into play, and 9 of them were hits. How do you do that? I guess that's the only way that you beat him. You have to have a BABIP of 900.
Yep.
I mean, he struck out 12, striking everybody out. Oh, they put 10 balls into play, and 9 of them find holes.
So you would say that loss was an aberration?
You know, well, the fact that the previous one came in July of last year, yes.
I mean, that's how you get a BABIP of 900.
That's just a remarkable line and a crazy game.
1-2 to Michael Bourn, leading off the bottom of the 5th. Paul Goldschmidt will be next, and then Jake Lamb.
Yeah, big inning here. Through the heart of the Diamondback lineup, you've taken the lead and extended it.
And now 2-2 to Bourn. Yeah, and you don't want anybody on base in front of Goldschmidt. He's already driven in a run with a double. And that's strike 3, a cut and a miss. So Bourn is out on strikes for the 2nd time. Ten strikeouts now for Archer. In fact, the last 7 recorded outs have been strikeouts. Goldschmidt fouls it back. Out of play, strike 1. And if you went back to the last 10 outs, 9 of those have been strikeouts. Now 0-2 on Goldschmidt.
There was a point here for the Diamondbacks that through the last 13 innings, they had struck out 20. I mean, they're averaging over 2 strikeouts an inning for an extended period now, for a couple of games. So I get while the getting's good.
It's upstairs. A ball, 2 strikes. Couple of runs, 4 hits, 3 walks, 10 strikeouts. Goldschmidt fouls it away again. Rays have out hit the Diamondbacks 8-4. Carry a 3-run lead here into the bottom of the 5th. And it's now 2-2. That one's skipping to the backstop. Chris Archer looking for his 4th win of the year. Came into this game with a .475 earned run average. That's Lamb on deck. Goldschmidt and Archer battling it out here in the 5th inning. Chris got the first 2 men in this game, then walked the next 2, wound up making 29 pitches in the first, had a quick 4th, then 23 pitches in the 3rd, 21 in the 4th. And he finally gets Goldschmidt on strikes. That's strikeout number 11. Our Toyota inside look on Chris Archer coming into this one. We mentioned 3-7 overall, and look at the difference home and away.
I mean, third lowest, highest. I mean, you can't get much more stark contrast than that right there. Loving Tropicana Field, not so much on the road, but looking at maybe it's just the dome because the roof's closed tonight. He's looking at home.
Jake Lamb hits a high pop foul, and that's Longoria back there for it. And it's a 1-2-3 fifth inning. We go to the sixth. Rays up by 3. Diamondbacks opened the scoring tonight when their pitcher Robbie Ray began the bottom of the third with a home run. Paul Goldschmidt later doubled home the second run of that inning. The Rays did respond in the fourth. Kurt Casale's base hit scored Desmond Jennings. And they responded in a bigger way in the fifth when Tim Beckham got into that one. A first pitch 2-run home run in the fifth inning. They added 2 more on Jennings' double and a sacrifice fly by Taylor Motter. And as we go to the sixth, it will be the top of the order to again lead it off. Matuk, Beckham, and Longoria as the Rays sent 9 men to the plate in the fifth inning. Matuk 2 for 3, fouls the first pitch.
Well, that increase in playing time is leading to some production here for Mikey Matuk. 2 out of 3, double single.
Oh, 2, the breaking ball in there.
Kevin Cash challenging Mikey Matuk, challenging Desmond Jennings, both of them responding here tonight.
A ball, 2 strikes, and Beckham really jumped on one last inning to hit one out. He's getting the start at second. Matuk out on strikes. So Delgado now in relief has picked up his first strikeout. And here's Tim Beckham. We've seen Beckham hit some long home runs. His first 2 were to center. He hit one up in Toronto off Jay Happ. And then hit another one in Detroit, and that was to center field. Hit this one out over 400 feet to left. You know, you look at this ballpark, this is a good extra base hit ballpark. There's a lot of room. You know, it's dead center's not the deepest part of this park. 407 there. And then on the wings of straightaway center, it goes back to 413, and the fence is 25 feet tall out there. 0-2. And so that's why this is a pretty good triples ballpark, actually.
Well, you get the ball into the gap, and you're right. The gaps go from 376, 370 to 413. Tons of room out there. You've got to have outfielders that can cover ground, but if you hit gappers, boy, oh boy, you run forever.
Now 1 ball, 2 strikes. Now you get away from that 413 marker out there, and the wall drops down to 7.5 feet. Beckham is out on strikes. So 2 up, 2 down. Well, that's 8 strikeouts for Arizona pitching. Archer has 11 tonight. And here's Evan. He's drawn a couple of walks, 0 for 1 officially. He walked in the 5th inning and scored a run. There's a ball. One ball, 1 strike. Big cut. Now 1-2. Longoria hit the ball well and a long way toward right center field in the 3rd. And Michael Bourne ran it down. Takes that pitch away. The count goes to 2 balls, 2 strikes. That's Logan Morrison looking to perhaps get a chance to hit in this inning if Longoria can extend it. And he does with a base hit into center field. Longoria makes an aggressive turn but hangs at first. He's on for the 3rd time, picks up his first hit. And so Evan Longoria continues his hot hitting.
Boy, a new week and same results.
Gives him a 10-game hitting streak right now.
2 strikes, you fight it off, you get it in there, you extend the inning.
Logan Morrison 0 for 2. He walked and scored in the 5th and lifts a high popper left side, a long run, and it's going to be out of reach back into the seats. Strike 1. Now the 3rd baseman Lamb is on the first base side of second. They have Ahmed, the shortstop, trying to cover all that ground. Tomas, the left fielder, couldn't get there, and the ball was a couple rows back into the stands.
You see the defensive setup right there. Here's Nick Ahmed. Went a long way for that one.
One and one the count. Rays got a run in the 4th, 4 runs in the 5th. Longoria aboard in the 6th inning with 2 outs. Now 2 and 1. Steven Souza Jr. waiting on deck. Now 2 and 2.
Well, that's been the best pitch here for Delgado, is that changeup. Fastball, slider, changeup, but it really sells that pitch with good arm action, and that ball just never gets there.
Count is full. This will give Longoria a break off first. There he goes. The pitch is ball 4, another walk for Morrison. And that's one thing about Morrison when he's been hot. I think it's an example of how well he's seeing the ball. He's willing to take some walks and not chase pitches.
That's been the story of Morrison and Longoria. They're just not chasing out of the strike zone. The pitch recognition is very, very good. They're not getting greedy. They're swinging at strikes, period. When you're able to do that, see the ball well, have a well-defined strike zone, swing at your pitch, well, you've got a chance to get hot. And those guys are scalding.
And with 2 outs now, the Rays have another threat. More action in the bullpen. Jake Barrett is up for Arizona. Swing and a miss by Souza. There are times when Souza is in and out of the strike zone quicker than you can see.
He's got a fast bat. He's got a very fast bat, and that's why when you see that kind of leverage that he creates in a fast bat, that's why when that contact is clean, that's why that ball just jumps like crazy. That's when we start talking about exit velocity. And it puts everybody to sleep.
One and one the count. It's a 2-1 count on Souza Jr. Jennings on deck. It's foul back to even the count at 2-2. Here's the 2-2. High pop right side. Goldschmidt. That's Segura. Foul ball, and the second baseman Segura makes the catch. Rays lead 2. Middle of the 6th. Rays are up by 3. we go into the bottom of the 6th inning. More baseball tomorrow. Here's what's coming up on Rays Live from Arizona, the pregame show presented by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. Matt Moore will be on the hill for the Rays, and we'll hear from the Rays lefty. And more late night with the Rays featuring Logan Morrison. Back to the hill goes Chris Archer to begin the bottom of the 6th, and the first pitch is a fastball too high to Wellington Castillo. One and one. Tyler Sturdivant up in the bullpen. Archer started this inning with 97 pitches. He has 100 right now. And a comebacker right up to grab it, halfway to first. He makes the toss. A little verticality right there by Archer to come up with that one.
It's another way to help yourself. Make a play. Well, Chris Archer, well, there were some moments early in the game where the command was a little bit elusive, built up some walks, but then cleaned that up and started getting into the strikeouts. There was a fastball there to Robbie Ray. That would give the Diamondbacks an early lead. But then right back to work he would go. Fastball's been crisp as the game has moved on. He's thrown some very good sliders. That one to Goldschmidt, one of the better ones on the night. And now 5 1/3, 11 punch-outs. Big strikeout game yesterday against the Diamondbacks. Chris Archer enjoying one here tonight against them again.
1-0 to Peralta. There's a drive deep. And that ball is out of here. Did he get into that one? We were just talking about how deep it can get out there. He hit that one just to the right of the 413 marker and up. And a long home run.
Ball was absolutely punished. There's some power in this lineup. Breaking ball, that's one of the breaking balls that stayed up. A lot of those have been swung and missed at here tonight, not this one.
So that makes it a 5-3 game. Peralta just back from the disabled list and hit it 426 feet. Tomas up there, 1 strike to count on him. It's 1-1. Archer in double figures in strikeouts for the 3rd time this year. He had 12 strikeouts against Toronto. And a 10 strikeout performance against Baltimore. So far tonight, he's in with 11 strikeouts. A run home, 1 out in the 6th, and he strikes out Tomas for the 3rd time. Just went up, got him to chase the high fastball, and that's a dozen strikeouts for Archer.
Well, Tomas does not cut down on the swing, and he's been waving at everything here tonight. The fastball up in the zone once again.
Now Nick Ahmed, the shortstop, he's 0 for 2 with a strikeout. A 1-0 count. One ball, one strike. See a ground out on a bunt attempt by Ahmed in the second inning, and Longoria made a very good play on that. It's 2-1. Well, everybody in this lineup has struck out tonight against Archer except the pitcher. The starting pitcher, Robbie Ray, went 2 for 2, a home run and a single. Now a 2-2 count on the shortstop. Foul back. So Archer now with 113 pitches, and that's an individual game high for him this year.
That's how badly that Kevin Cash wants to get Chris deeper into the game so he can save some of that bullpen.
Jennings in center field handles this one. A run on the home run. We're through 6, 5-3 Rays.
Three here in Phoenix is Chase Field, home of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Tonight is Late Night with Lomo. We caught up with Rays first baseman Logan Morrison. Asked him, given your choice, would you rather wear a snowsuit in the desert or have no clothes in the Arctic Circle?
I mean, maybe it's because we're here and not really hotness, but I would say put me in Antarctica at this point.
You deal with cold.
Yeah, well, right now, but if I was in the cold, I'd probably say put me in Arizona, so I don't know.
There you go, guys. Over 110 here today. Lomo's had enough of it already. Back to you.
It's scorching.
Just a couple more days to go.
Yeah.
Well, Desmond Jennings leads off the 7th inning, and he faces Jake Barrett, whose first pitch arrives at 95, and it's a strike.
I do have good news, though, Dwayne.
Yes.
The next 2 days are forecasting a high of just 105. It's actually cooling off a little bit.
0-2.
So we've got that going for us.
Yeah. Well, we got through one day, and
Right.
the other days should not be as challenging.
Well, here's the bad thing for me. The downside is the AC in my room it's not working very well.
You mean it's not cooling?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like the number that's on that I have it set at. It's a good legitimate 20 to 25 degrees above that, and I've got it down pretty low, but it's not.
Mine's
close.
exactly the opposite.
Yours works really good. That's what I've been hearing. I think I got a bad room here.
Yeah, I think I had mine at 74 and it was 34 in there.
I'll take that. I will take that. Can always load up on more blankets, but if it's too hot, forget it.
Two balls, two strikes.
And Jake Barrett, boy, he gives you some herky-jerky short arm action. Hey, there's some AC units.
That's what you need right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll move those over to your suite.
My suite. That's Todd.
Oh, a long one. Deep down the line. Is that ball fair? That's a fair ball and out of here. Desmond Jennings hit the foul pole. A towering blast down the left field line. That's his 4th home run of the year. And the Rays get that 3-run lead right back.
What a great answer. You know, that's something that the Rays did in the Twins series. You know, when Minnesota would take a lead or score, try to chop into the lead, the Rays would continue to extend it. And he took that fastball high and down the line, and that right off the foul pole. It's going to hit and go to your left.
Apparently they have the foul pole mic'd.
Yeah, I was going to say that the sound effect was tremendous.
Taylor Motter takes a strike. They're saying 417 on the blast by Jennings. I mean, these are some legitimate home runs we're seeing tonight.
Well, you were talking to Minnesota. We were talking to some of the Minnesota people during the course of that series. They said, well, your guys do not hit cheap home runs. I mean, they're no wall scrapers. I mean, they pound them. And they're doing that again here tonight.
Well, Beckham hit one over 400 feet to left. Jennings down the line. Now 1-2. I mean, these were a couple of majestic shots by Beckham and Jennings tonight. Motter out on strikes. Here's another look at that.
Dwayne, let's talk a little exit velocity.
Let's do.
Whoa! 104.3. It's fast. And far.
How about that? Great shot there of the contact with the foul pole. Here's Kurt Casale. One ball, no strikes. One and one. One and two now to Casale. You saw Chris Archer. He's scheduled to hit next. Corey Dickerson has moved on deck. Casale out on strikes. That's 10 strikeouts for Arizona pitching. Archer has 12 through 6. And he's going to be lifted in favor of Corey Dickerson. Well, Archer went 0 for 3. Dickerson announced as the pinch hitter, and that brings The Arizona pitching coach Mike Butcher out. Follow Rays Baseball live with the MLB.com at Bat app. Stay up to the moment at any moment with Game Day, live game video highlights, StatCast, news, and more. Download MLB.com at Bat, the #1 app for live baseball on your phone and tablet. Well, another power bat. It's Dickerson to hit for Archer, who goes the first 6 innings tonight. Pitch is a strike on the outside part of the plate. Jennings, a 3-hit night with a couple of runs batted in and 2 runs score. Dickerson fouls it the other way, 0-2. Rays with 6 runs, 10 hits. It's a ball and 2 strikes. Still alive with a 1-2 count. Robbie Ray started. The Rays got 5 off him. Delgado in between, and now Barrett. The Rays have a run off him. That's low. 2-2. Top of the order, Mikey Matuk is on deck. And a little bit wide. Full count.
So that little head snap of Rob Drake, and he thought about it.
And a cut and a miss with a fastball. 96 ends the top of the 7th. But a leadoff home run by Jennings. The Rays score their 6th run and again lead by 3. 6-3. in the 100th anniversary of the Copa America tomorrow as they take on CONCACAF rival Costa Rica. It all starts at 7 p.m. Eastern, only on FS1, or you can watch the entire tournament live on Fox Sports Go.
Leading off for the D-backs and pitch hitting for Jake Berry, number 15, Taylor Gosselin.
Tyler Sturdivant will take over here in the 7th, making his 7th appearance. 6 innings for Archer. And a nice job by Archer tonight. He gave up 3 runs, 5 hits, had 12 strikeouts. Gosselin pinch hitting. One and one. There's the line on Archer. 115 pitches. That's a season's high. 3 runs, 3 walks, 12 Ks. So he matches his season's high in strikeouts, going back to his first outing of the year against Toronto. There's a pinch hit, base hit. Gosselin makes the turn. Well, that bullpen for the Rays has been very busy. And they all maintain that they're available tonight. But again, as we discussed earlier, not for extensive work.
No, and that's why Kevin Cash stuck with Chris Archer through the 115 pitches. He wanted to limit the number of outs that this bullpen would have to get tonight. Right now it sits at 9.
Gene Segura 0 for 2 with a walk and a run scored. Vinny Romero up in the Rays bullpen. One and one. Chases again, and he's done that earlier.
And those aren't, you know, let's start it on the outer third and break it off the plate. No, let's start it off the plate and break it into the other batter's box. And he's chasing those. So, you know, you take that into account when you're making pitches, knowing that that zone will get very, very big.
And a bouncer foul. Arizona opened the scoring tonight when their starting pitcher, Robbie Ray, homered in the 3rd. Paul Goldschmidt doubled in a run in that inning, and the Rays came right back with a run in the 4th and then put up 4 in the 5th. It's now 6-3. Beckham hit a long home run in that 5th inning. Jennings hit a home run in the 7th. Peralta has a home run for Arizona along with the pitcher Ray. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Michael Bourne is on deck. Gosselin, the runner at first, reaching on the pinch hit single. And another move over there. Sturdivant worked an inning and 2/3 in the third game of the series in Minnesota on Saturday. Pitch up a bit and it's fouled back.
Yeah, get back with that slider off the plate if you want to go with that pitch. The last couple have been too good, and even that, even that being said, Segura always able to do is foul him off. You got him back in swing mode. Expand.
Two up the right side, foul. So that ball out of play, and we'll see another 2-2 pitch. One on, nobody out. And he got him. He went up with the fastball, got it up there at 92 and got him to chase.
Yeah, either way. I mean, expand on this guy. He's showing you that he's willing to go way out of the zone with the swing. Look where this fastball ends up. You just cannot. That's the other thing. With the low hands, you go with the slider down and off the plate, or you go above the hands. He can't get him then. I mean, that's a dead giveaway when a guy's got low hands like that. Above the hands, firm, you'll get it. Especially if he can't lay off of it.
Another move. Gosselin back in. Well, Michael Bourne's up here. 0 for 3 tonight. Strike one. Bourne originally broke in with the Phillies. Had a run with Houston, then Atlanta, Cleveland.
Dwayne, I've got a legitimate question here.
Fire away.
Does it seem that every couple of weeks we show up to play somebody and Michael Bourne plays for them?
Yeah, that's been the case.
I like when we came out here and I'm going through the lineup, I'm like, that cannot be the same Michael Bourne.
Yeah.
It can't be. And it is.
Well,
it's creepy.
Cleveland had him, Atlanta let him go. Signed on with Toronto.
Right. Cleveland, Toronto, now Arizona, enough. He's like that creepy doll that just keeps showing up, and it just unnerving.
I love the way you put things.
Try to paint a picture.
Yeah, you do. 2 strikes the count to Bourne. It's down 1-2. Well, you got to be persistent in this game, and he has been.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, and you have to believe. I mean, he's had a nice career. He's down the middle of this, and he's, a veteran guy, and thinks he can still play, and his numbers have been good for the time he's spent here in Arizona.
Well, and you have to have teams that were willing to take that chance, knowing what the past production was. Maybe they've got a hole because of an injury, and you can come in and help them bridge the gap. But the persistence of some guys, Michael Bourne, the guys that we talk about that play, a year or two in independent baseball, looking to latch on with a team, and they're able to make it. Those are great stories.
A chopper foul. One on with 1 out, a 2-2 count on Michael Bourne. Runner at first. And the count will go full. Goldschmidt is on deck. And he's the guy that you're really concerned about in this lineup. It's a 3-run game. 1 man on right now, 1 out, 3-2 to Michael Bourn. I mean, that's the thing. A hitter like Bourn, you know, this at bat's kind of like him extending his career. He's battling all the way through this at bat.
Yep. You're absolutely right. And he's one pitch away from being able to get himself on base. That would bring Goldschmidt up as the tying run. You do not want to see that.
Into center field. Jennings is there to make the catch.
Boy, he was defensed perfectly. I mean, Desmond Jennings a little bit shallow, a shade into left center field, and that ball poked right to him. A couple of steps in, he was right there. I mean, that's just perfect.
Well, 2 outs. The Rays talk it over on the hill. The runner at first, Paul Goldschmidt will be the hitter. He doubled in a run in the 3rd against Archer. He also has a walk and a strikeout tonight. And a strike call on the power hitting first baseman, Paul Goldschmidt. Oh, and he's hit by that pitch. And Goldschmidt hit by a pitch. So that puts 2 men on base. Ball just ran in and got him in the back.
Yeah, it did. I mean, no chance to get out of the way of that one. Just tracking in up in the back.
Kevin Cash comes out to make the pitching change. Back in a moment. Sports Sun, brought to you by Dodge. Visit Dodge.com or your local dealer today. By Nissan, choose Nissan today for great offers on our most exciting lineup ever. And by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. Eddie Romero on the hill for the Rays. He'll inherit 2 men. And Ricky Weeks Jr. will pinch hit for Jake Lamb. First pitch is a strike. Servant got 2 outs, leaves with 2 men on base. It's wide. 1-1.
Weeks was gearing up for that fastball. You could see his load, anticipating. He's going to be taking a swing here to try to hit this ball out of the ballpark. You can bet on that.
And it's low.
I think that everything recognized by Enny and Curt Casali, the way that he was going to go after that previous fastball, you say, you know what, you may want to show him something different here and then get back to the fastball.
Did he go? Oh, he did not, says Mark Rippinger. Came close, started after that pitch.
Another breaking ball. Let's take a look. He held up.
A 3-1 count. Two on, 2 out. And ball 4. And a nice pick by Casali. The bases are loaded. 2 outs in the 7th. Wellington Castillo will be the hitter. Jim Hickey heads out to the mound. Casali already out there with Romero, and we'll have a major get together on the hill. Two outs, bases loaded.
You know what I love about Jim Hickey's meetings is he's never out there him-hawing around. He comes out there with a very distinct message, and he's very forceful and convicted when giving it to the pitcher. That instills confidence in you. Like, listen, you just do this and we're going to be fine. You know, not like you're searching for something to say or you're grasping at straws. No, you go out there, boom, 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 boom. You act like you're convinced it's absolutely true and it's going to happen, and that gives your pitcher confidence.
All set to go. Here's Romero's pitch, and it's a ball.
We don't need that one anymore.
It's out of strikes.
No place to put him. Don't want to get yourself into a bad count where you eliminate that slider.
And he's gone to 2-0.
See, this is where Wellington Castillo has absolutely, if I'm him, and I'm sure he's thinking the same way, I'm sitting fastball out over the plate. He can't walk me. He just threw a slider in the dirt. He's not going to throw another one. If he does, so be it. But I'm sitting dead red fastball here and trying to jack.
2-0. And there is ball 3. Missed with the fastball. Two outs, bases loaded, 3-0 the count. And ball 4 will force home a run. It's 6-4. Well, the Rays trying to work their way through the end of this game with a bullpen that has been very, very busy lately. And 2 walks here from Romero.
Well, and Peralta being called back to the dugout.
Drury will pinch hit. So Brandon Drury comes on to pinch hit. Drury is the opposite of Lamb. And now we're going to have Kevin Cash come out. Well, the Rays will make another change. Back in a moment. Welcome back to Arizona. It is late night with the Rays.
Really late.
The lampshade would be next.
Giddy.
Well, it's a two-run ball game. And the Rays have gone to the bullpen again. Xavier Cedeno is on. Drew had been announced as the pinch hitter. Brandon Drury, a right-handed hitter who loves left-handed pitching. Cedeno, a little different approach. There's a liner foul up the right side, strike one. A little different approach than Romero. And the numbers for Drury striking last year, lefty-righty. He had 152 against right-handed pitching and over 300 against left-handed pitching. Cut and a miss, 0-2, and as we've discussed often with Cedeno, very difficult for him to throw anything straight.
And that's why he's in here. You know, instead of Eddie Romero, who is struggling with command and a fastball straight as a string, you know, that sets up well for Drury. And with the options being limited for Kevin Cash, you go to the guy who's got some movement. So far, these first two pitches have been very good.
Ooh, and a big cut.
Now he can use that cutter, the one down and in to get the swing and a miss, and then a little bit further in, foul ball. Now you can go back out away if you want. You could slow him up with a curveball. He likes to use that. It's cutter curveball, but I'll tell you, if he goes with the curveball, that's where Casali's going to have to be on his toes, because it's going to be the put-away curveball, potentially in the dirt.
Two-run ball game, 6-4. A two-strike count on Drury. And there you go, down and in. I mean, right there's Casali to be in front of it.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to anticipate that. That's what the good catchers do. A breaking ball anticipated in the dirt. That's close enough.
the bottom of the 7th. And another one. 2-2. So Casale stopping both of those. Goldschmidt's at third. He was hit by a pitch. Weeks at second. Castillo at first. And a cut and a miss. He struck him out. Cedeno in with the bases loaded. Leaves him that way. And the Rays hang on to a 2-run lead. Here's the strikeout pitch. That breaking ball down and in. And the Rays dug out into that moment. Headed into the 8th inning, and they'll face the 4th Arizona pitcher of the night. Josh Collmender into the game, making his 5th appearance.
I'm going to try to hold the Rays down here. The one thing that the Rays have done very well over the last few days is when teams have closed in on them, whether it be the Twins here or even the Diamondbacks tonight, they've been able to go right back out and answer, and that's what they'll be looking to do here.
Gosselin stays on to play third. Weeks is now in left. Tomas moves over to play right field. Mikey Matuk leads off here in the 8th, and he takes a ball. Collmender just back recently from a shoulder issue, had some inflammation in that pitching shoulder. You talk about coming right over the top. He does.
It's probably why he had an issue in that pitching shoulder. I mean, that's as over the top as you'll see. That arm's at its apex, at its release point. He's a perfectly straight line.
Two and one to count to Mikey Matuk. Ground ball third, backhanded by Gosselin, and the throw to first in time. He made a nice play on a hard hit ball.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. That's one of those in-between hops, an in-between backhand hop. Very, very difficult because you don't have hardly any time to get the glove there. And then once you do, it's in that weird region. It's not a short hop. It's not a high bounce. It was a nice, swift little play. Right. Yeah. See, that's that's tricky. If we could just get a pop up to first now, I can break that down. It'd be great.
It's Tim Beckham. Well, you could contrast the degree of difficulty.
Could draw.
Yeah.
There's so many options.
Want to know the count to Beckham? Hit a long home run over 400 feet to left field back in the 5th inning. A 2-ball, no strike count. A big cut right there. 2-1. Upstairs, 3-1. Colmenter was the opening day starter for this team last year. 3-1 to count on Beckham.
I'm not sure how to respond to that.
And a foul ball back.
Well, how about the fact that this ball club this year, had a core group of players. They thought, you know what, if we had some pitching, we can make a run this year. The window, that Paul Goldschmidt signed for 3 more years. You sort of think of some of the other younger players. So you go out and you sign a Zach Greinke. You spend big bucks on him. You trade for a Shelby Miller. Then you go trade for a Gene Segura to try to top things off.
Yeah, 2 years ago, they won only 64 games. Last year started to push the 500 mark. They were 79-83.
Yeah.
Thinking a little push and they could jump right into contention. Dave Stewart, the GM here, there was a guy who was a tough pitcher, a great competitor. And ball 4, Beckham draws the walk. Stewart, when you stop and think about, he pitched, he was a coach, he was an agent, and now he's a GM. And Tony La Russa, the chief baseball officer. So that's a pretty good combination of baseball knowledge and success.
You could go on and on and on about Tony La Russa.
You could. It's amazing.
Storied career.
Well, here's Longoria. Evan with a couple of walks and a single in this game. And he takes that first pitch for a ball.
What pitch does Colmenter have right now to get Evan Longoria out with? That's what you're thinking. As hot as he is.
Yep.
The way that he's seeing the baseball.
I think a lot of pitchers are thinking that right now.
Yeah, get in line, I'm sure.
Right over the top, and there's a strike. Pitch wound up down at the knees.
Well, he definitely tries to create an angle with that directly over the top. He's like a human iron mic machine.
Well, he says that he developed that overhand delivery throwing tomahawks.
Okay, no. That's completely made up. That is a Rays late night with the Rays after midnight statement. Who throws tomahawks?
He's from Homer, Michigan.
Okay.
And people up there, they go to the Upper Peninsula, they throw tomahawks.
They do.
Yeah. It's common knowledge.
I don't believe you.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Thanks for tuning in to another edition of Late Night with the Rays.
I mean, have you ever heard of anything like that? Like his throwing motion can be directly tied to the art of throwing tomahawks.
Yeah. Well, doesn't it appear?
It does.
Yeah.
It does. I mean, I would envision a tomahawk toss somewhat like this.
And there is strike 3 call on Longoria.
Didn't see that one coming. Me or Evan.
Two outs with a runner at first. Logan Morrison 0 for 2. He has walked twice. A ball, no strikes, the count. And a chop right side, closed by Ahmed over there, and he makes the catch and the toss. So we go to the bottom of the 8th. It's 6-4. Back to late night with the Rays from Chase Field in Phoenix. Rays lead this game 6-4. Here's Cedeno, and his first pitch to Tomas, foul back, strike 1. Tomas is nothing of 3, and all of that came against Chris Archer. One ball and 2 strikes. Ground ball to third, sharply hit, and Longoria is there. Throws a strike across the diamond to get Tomas. And that is out number 1.
Well, how about Evan Longoria? You know, late in the ball game, you're going to take away those doubles up the line, and he's right there to make that play. 1 out. That's it. I'll tell you, it's important late in the game. You know, it's a 2-run ball game, but look where Evan's playing. I mean, he's got that line covered.
Well, the Rays trying to get through the back end of this game. Out by out. With this bullpen basically on fumes. Trying to limit pitches. There's a foul ball back by Nick Ahmed.
Oh, this is the first time that the Rays have had extensive action. You know, this is part of that 20 games in 20 days stretch that will come to an end Wednesday afternoon with the off day Thursday. But they've not had to manage the bullpen like this up to this point.
One ball, one strike. Well, it's been a challenge for Kevin Cash, and when you think about the back end of these games, a challenge there too, especially with Colomé.
Well, that's why Brad Boxberger coming back on this trip was going to be such a boost, and 16 pitches in another injury, and that hurts. That hurts badly. Not because, I mean, this guy led the American League in saves last year with 41, and Colomé's certainly done an unbelievable job filling in that role. But boy, it would be nice to have another back end guy like Boxberger.
There's a little broken bat, base hit out of the reach of Beckham. Great effort by Beckham to get out there, stretching out, trying to leap and grab that one, and just over his glove. Ahmed is aboard with a base hit.
Boy, it was close too. Positioned well. Just can't quite get there as that ball drops in.
Well, Phil Gosselin entered this game as a pinch hitter in the 7th, got a base hit. And following that single by Ahmed, it's Gosselin again. It's fouled into the screen. Strike one. Down 1-1. Erasmo Ramirez up in the bullpen. He worked 2 innings yesterday, coming off 2 innings on Saturday, coming off 1 inning on Friday, coming off on 1 inning Thursday, and so he's up again. Swing and a miss. Now 1-2. Runner at first, and Cedeno ahead in the count. There is strike 3 called. He gets the out. 2 gone. So a very big out right there. They're all big at this stage of a game. Matt Moore will be on the mound tomorrow for the Rays, opposed by Zach Greinke. And we will be with you at 9 o'clock tomorrow. Greinke coming off that great year with the Dodgers, signing on here in Arizona. 7-3 for him. That earned run average is a bit high. There's a chopper to short by Segura, and the throw to second in time. Motter to Beckham. The 8th inning is complete. We go to the 9th, and the Rays are up by 2. We're headed into the 9th inning. Desmond Jennings has had a big night for the Rays. Yellowwood bringing the lumber. And Jennings 3 for 4 tonight, including a home run in the 7th inning.
Took that lumber off the metal pole.
It'll be Souza Jr., Jennings, and then Motter in the 9th inning. Breaking ball in there for a strike. Beckham has driven in 2, Jennings 2, Motter 1, Casali 1. And it's 6-4. 0-2 the count. Colomé up in the bullpen. It's hard to keep the bullpen straight. Colomé has worked 3 days in a row. They've been so busy. Ramirez had worked 3 of the last 4. And as we mentioned, Cedeno now in 4 of the last 5 games.
Yeah,
It's been amazing.
It is, and you still got a couple games left in this series. I mean, there's no time to come up for air quite yet. Coleman picks up another strikeout looking. It's like he's got the invisible working, the tomahawk.
That's it.
It is. I'll get you some of this.
Well, he picked up a strikeout of Longoria in the 8th and one of Souza Jr. here in the 9th. Here's Desmond Jennings taking a ball. Jennings now with 4 home runs and 13 runs batted in.
He's eyeballing the gaps, Dwayne.
Yeah, well, all he needs is a triple.
Hit one out to the 413.
Well,
you got it.
A good triples ballpark. It's 2-1. It's lifted up the right side, out of play. Takes the count to 2-2. Coleman has started and relieved and started and relieved. Exclusively a reliever for a while. The pitch is down. 3-2. As we mentioned, he was the opening day starter for this club at one point. In 2014, he made 28 starts and 5 relief appearances, and then the opening day starter in 15 wound up with 12 starts, 44 appearances overall. And there's ball 4. Jennings is on for the 4th time, drawing the walk.
You know the one thing that we haven't touched on yet here tonight? The Diamondbacks uniforms.
Yes.
And thoughts?
Well, they have so many different uniforms that we'd probably have to start talking about them early in the evening to get through all of them.
They're the Oregon Ducks of Major League Baseball.
Well, a visit to the mound. 1 on, 1 out. Brad Miller has been announced as the pinch hitter for Taylor Motter. And the Diamondbacks talk it over on the mound. They actually keep track of their wins and losses in the various uniforms. So they have the uniform that's white and red, and white and teal, and then red, and then black. Lost Diamondbacks or D-backs, purple, gray and red, gray and teal, and then some other uniforms they put on there, 1 and 1 in those.
In others.
Yeah, others. Pitch is down, blocked by Castillo.
Those are probably the throwback sleeveless unis from back in the day. Because they've got the purple that they've worn 3 times.
Yeah.
And then the other uniforms, I'll bet you, they're the sleeveless, the white sleeveless, purple sleeves.
You like those?
No.
You didn't like
I
those?
like the purple. I was an alternate uniform guy.
I got you.
So at home, I'd wear the purple jersey. And then on the road, I'd wear the black jersey.
And a move to first, back in is Jennings. He has walked. One ball, one strike. The chopper up the right side. In the bottom of the 9th inning, Arizona's set to have Bourne, Goldschmidt, and then Weeks up there. A little nubber back to the mound. Out at second and safe at first. Well, Colementer got it back to second in time to cut down Jennings. So 2 outs with Miller at first.
Mike Desmond with a good secondary, and he made this play close. Ahmed's strong arm over to first and trying to get Brad Miller, but everything took just a little bit too long. That ball took some time to get to Colementer.
Well, there's Curt Casali. Casali drove in a run with a base hit in the 4th. Was intentionally walked in the 5th. First pitch is a strike. Pitch is down and in. Steve Pearce making an appearance. He's out on deck in case this inning should continue. The Rays could utilize his bat. Now 1-2. Casali down in the count. There's Pearce on deck. It evens the count, 2-2. Rays have had 10 hits. They've left 10 men on base so far. Miller at first right now, 2 outs in the 9th. in on him, and he fouls it. It's out of play. Rays got 5 runs off the starter Ray. Another run off Jake Barrett on the Jennings home run. Casale forces another pitch, fouling that one away.
Well, the Rays going through the heart of the order in the bottom half of the inning. Would love to add on here. Love to get Steve Pearce to the plate, give him a chance. 2-run lead. Goldschmidt will be up second in the inning. That's why it's going to be real important on Michael Bourne. Keep him off the base paths.
There goes Miller. The pitch is a ball, and the throw is going to be in time. Miller caught stealing. Segura put the tag on him. Bourne, Goldschmidt, and Weeks due up. Lead 6-4. We go to the bottom of the 9th inning, and for the 4th consecutive day, Alex Colomé on. Colomé yesterday an inning, a save each day. Friday an inning and 2/3, a third on Saturday, and then a full inning in yesterday's game in Minnesota. That was a 9-pitch outing then, and he faces Michael Bourne. A ground ball to the right side. Beckham's tossed to first, and Bourne is out number 1. 1 pitch, 1 out. Boy, how good is that to keep Bourne off the bases with Paul Goldschmidt due up.
Especially with the workload that you just highlighted. And you go back to that Friday night game where he faced 10 hitters in that outing. And then Saturday, and then Sunday, and now here Monday. You talk about a gamer, a guy that you know that Kevin Cash, did not want to use him tonight, but Alex Colomé is like, if you need me, I am ready to go.
Pitch is a strike to Goldschmidt. How about that fastball at 97?
Is he getting better? I mean, I don't know if we saw it.
Loosened up on the 4th day.
Unbelievable. And then that slider, 91 with that kind of movement.
The 1-1. It's upstairs. 2 balls and a strike. It's popped up a foul ball, however, that will carry out a play. He got that ball in on Goldschmidt.
You know, like any good power hitter, they want to get their arms extended, and you can't stay in the same patterns with them. Obviously, Alex Colomé, first time he's faced him, but you got to move that ball around. And that fastball at 97 that we saw earlier has got that late jump. Go ahead and go in there. Opens up everything else.
Ground ball third. Longoria gloves, turns and throws. 2 gone.
You know, what a great feel for playing third base Evan Longoria has. You know, that ball's in the hole, and instead of cutting straight across, he plays it at almost a 45-degree angle to get the hop that he wanted and then spin and throw. Just a tremendous, you know, watch him go head back, get the hop that you want, spin, throw. Makes it look too easy.
Yes, he does. Ricky Weeks Jr. now with the bases empty and 2 outs. Colomé trying to close it out. And a first pitch strike. A heavily worked bullpen called upon tonight so far. They've given the Rays 2 2/3, allowing a couple of hits, 1 earned run, a couple walks, 3 strikeouts, and a lot of first pitch strikes. 2-1 now. Weeks entered the game as a pinch hitter in the 7th. And that's a strike. Two and two. So Colomé 10 pitches in. See if we can end it right here. 2-2. Ground ball again. Shortstop this time. Brad Miller's throw to first, and the Rays win it. A 1-2-3 ninth inning for Alex Colomé. And the Rays are winners tonight. It's a 6-4 final. And boy, what a job by the bullpen. Colomé closes another one. 6-10-0, 10 left for the Rays. 4-7-0 with 9 left for the Diamondbacks. Archer will get his 4th win. He is 4-7. He worked the front 6 innings. Ray, the losing pitcher, his mark drops to 2-5. Save number 16. Colomé perfect in that department. Took 3 hours and 31 minutes to play this game before 17,176. So the Rays, who took the final 3 games in the series to win 3 of 4 from Minnesota, will extend the winning streak to 4 tonight with a 6-4 victory. Right now, let's go to the field and Todd Kalas.
Dwayne, thanks. Desmond, this road trip has really turned around. You guys lose the first 4. Now you're on a 4-game winning streak. Very, very important to get that thing turned around in Minnesota and carry it over to tonight.
Yeah, definitely, man, definitely. Things were headed in the wrong direction for us for a while, and it's good to be back on